Welcome to Alchemy. I'm Hermes. Got my cool specs on. Today we're going to talk about plasma arc colloidals. The do's and don'ts of it, because I know some of you are thinking about it. And I've hinted enough shows these days on exactly how to do it. I don't have any start to finish on setting up plasma arc because I find it's pretty advanced and you really need to already have basic knowledge of how to handle 15,000 volts of electricity. But that said, I want to show you some safety tips that I've developed when working with this stuff. Yeah, and some other cool things that I've figured out. This is a 1,000 milliliter beaker. One of the things I found out was making plasma arc colloidals are easier with the more fluid you use. I have a 500 milliliter plasma arc beaker here, but most of the time I will use the 1,000 milliliter arc beaker to make my colloidals, my plasma arc colloidals, because having more water seems to be more efficient than having less. In fact, I can fill. This is 500 milliliters, and this is 1,000, and it's not a lot longer. You would think it would be twice the amount of time to cook 1,000 milliliters, but it's not. It's actually, I might be able to cook something, let's just say a colloidal, in 40 minutes here for 500 milliliters, and in here, if I did do it here in 1,000 milliliters, it only takes 60 minutes. So the extra 20 minutes, I actually get more colloidals out of it for less time. That's not the rule all the time, but that's things that I found. I mean, some colloidals are good for plasma arc and some aren't. And I can't show you a plasma arc because this camera does not like the plasma arc. In fact, the plasma arc, when it goes off, and I can show you a picture of what it looks like, emits radio frequencies all over the place. And so things that are susceptible to radio frequencies, it tends to interfere with. In fact, my computer is down there at the end, pretty far away. But if the arc is really, really strong enough, it will actually interrupt the USB bus on my computer. I would like to make the computer go further away or move the plasma arc setup someplace else, but I'm limited with what I got here in lab space right now. So keep that in mind. Do not put your computer equipment anywhere near your plasma arc. Now the other thing is, see, these are my leads here. I will clip them over here and we'll have the two, whatever it is we're cooking in here. And I have a switch over here. I have a 2-switch system. I have to arm this thing, and I always recommend you have a 2-switch arming system. So this is switch number 1, which I can click to on. Nothing will happen because I have a secondary switch, which is a pedal switch, which is down here on the floor. I'll show you a picture of that. And that's a dead man switch, so that, God forbid, something happens, all I have to do is remove my foot from the pedal, and the current stops. Now, you could easily fry your fingers, or, with 15,000 volts, you can hurt yourself pretty badly. So what I recommend, and I found with these gloves, I'll put a link in the description on Amazon. They're nylon gloves, but they're covered with polyurethane on the tips. And it makes them very easy for working with plasma arc. And as you can see, fingers fit in here pretty nice. And I got small fingers. So if I had a little larger fingers, they would fit in there even nicer. And you always want to wear 2 gloves when you're doing it. And the reason is because when you get into the groove of making these colloidals, you kind of start to do things unconsciously. So, I mean, you could, in effect, you could be trying to maneuver the plasma arc rods in order to adjust them, and then move them, and then press the pedal switch, move them a little bit more, press the pedal switch. And you see what's happening? You're doing press, move, and then all of a sudden you're going to press and have your hands on these things, and yeah, it's not going to be pleasant. So always wear some kind of rubberized glove when you're using plasma arc. Make it don't do it without it. It might be a pain in the ass to put the gloves on, but believe me, you will save your fingers and maybe your life when working with plasma arc. This is nothing to be 15,000 volts. Is nothing to be. You must respect this kind of voltage. Now the other thing to watch out for is the arc itself. The arc itself is very bright, and it's compelling to look at this bright arc. Now, depending on the metals you do, some arcs are brighter than others, but you just want to stare. At least I just want to stare at that thing. I just find it absolutely amazing. Dark sunglasses or welding glasses, absolute must when you're doing plasma arc. And again, you don't want to. You might look like you're coming from an alien, coming from a spaceship, but you want to be safety first. Glasses, gloves, plasma arc. And then you won't burn your eyes out, you won't fry your fingers, and get massive electric shock in case if you do mess up. So those are my safety tips working with plasma arc. Take them in stride. And as always, you can ask me your questions and I'll do my best to help you with it. But like I said, not all colloidals are made with I do not make all my colloidals with plasma arc. Some of them just don't work. Platinum, yes, definitely works well. Gold works well. Silver works well, but it's a little tedious and it goes fast. Take like 2 minutes and you're done with 1,000 milliliters of silver. But you can't actually get dark silver from it. But you can get 20 parts per million silver. So some of the other colloidal metals that I've been working with don't work. Zinc does not stay together more than 30 days. Iron does not stay together more than a couple days. It'll just fall apart. It's not a colloidal. Surprisingly, magnesium will stay together. Whereas magnesium, when you do low voltage electrolysis, kind of falls apart in about 60 days, 30, 60 days. But with plasma arc magnesium, that actually stays fairly solid. If I get any other metals that I'm having trouble with, copper. Yes, copper, I can get about 30 days, almost 30 days out of copper. It will fall apart. So some metals are not good with plasma arc. They're just not stable enough. So you'll have to you're gonna need low voltage electrolysis for those metals that just don't work well with the plasma arc. Now, about the only one that works both ways is colloidal gold, absolute ruby red colloidal gold, and the light purple or rose colored colloidal plasma gold. They both work very well. Don't actually see a lot of difference between the ruby red gold and the plasma gold. The plasma arc light purple or rose colored gold has a cleaner taste to it. Because it actually doesn't have all of the extra stuff. Doesn't have the citrate, the sodium citrate in it, or the corn syrup and NaCl. So it's just, with plasma arc, the only thing you can have in there is distilled water, and that is it. In fact, it will only work with distilled water. I can't get a plasma arc with my RO water, which comes in about 8 parts per million. You really have to have 0 parts per million distilled water in order to get the arc going for any of these things. That is my tips and tricks for plasma arc. I'm Hermes, and this is Alchemy. I'll talk to you again soon.